Welcome to the podcast that guides men to demystify and develop their intuition. I'm your host, Doug Beitz. Let's dig into the science and expand your horizons. Hi guys, we're back again for another podcast, and this week it's just you and me. It's been quite a while. I think the last 15 episodes I just looked up have all been me interviewing people or having our men's roundtable group together, and I've got other people planned to interview in the future. I've got those appointments made, but I just haven't got any for this week. So it's just you and me again. And I've kind of missed that because I would sort of, prior to 15 episodes ago, I would do a couple of just me, and then I'd do a couple of interviews. So I've sort of felt like I've been here, but I haven't been sharing that much. In the men's roundtable groups, I sort of more facilitate, and I do speak a little bit there. And then with some of the other interviews, I'm always trying to let the guests do the talking, even though sometimes, I can't help myself. I've got to interject and put my bit of my spin on things, but with my developing men's intuition. But that's why you're listening, because that's what you want to hear about. So I just want to share with you, the idea of the podcast is all about men developing their intuition, and I know it's working for me. This is episode 112, and I know over the last couple of years, my intuition is just amping up. My wife's noticing it considerably more. She's asking me, she's telling me, I'll ask a question or something like that, and she'll say, well, use your intuition, like not in a sarcastic way, but in a way that, it works. We need a good answer to this. Use it. And, in the past, she was always way more the intuitive one in our relationship. And now she's looking to me, and I guess I never planned that to happen. I was always trying to play catch up, and it's not like I'm more intuitive, but she knows it's my thing. And that's why I'm here talking to you now about men developing their intuition. So, yeah. And today, just things happen all the time. Things connect. I went to the local farmers market just down the road today, and I haven't been there probably. And we only go and shop there very, very infrequently, like 2-3 times a year. We really just don't go there much, just out of it, because it's a great little market, but because it's so close, we kind of ridiculously we forget that it's even there. And I went down there, and the lady that served me, she said, it's funny, and I have spoken with her in the past, like maybe a year ago or more ago, and it's funny. She said, I thought about you this morning. And that didn't surprise me. And it's not like I thought about her, but I just thought, well, the universe or whoever, whatever, knew I was going to end up here today. And my energy was there ahead of time. She sensed my energy before I arrived. And, that was her intuition, not mine. But stuff like that just keeps happening. And does it happen to you? I hope it does. I hope you are having more and more experiences like that, where you're knowing and sensing things ahead of time. And sometimes it's quite advantageous, and other times it's just quite comforting to know. Recently we had a situation where my wife and I wanted to know the value of something that was fairly important to us. And the only way to do that was to have someone who knows very specifics about that item. And so we shared it with these people, and in my mind, it was going to be difficult to value this item because it's a little bit unusual. There was not a lot to compare it to. It wasn't just a normal stock standard item. And much to my surprise, they took a day and a half to come back with us with an approximate price. And while I was waiting, I tapped into my intuition using some little tips and tricks that I have. And a figure came to me, and I wrote it down on a piece of paper. And then I just sat that piece of paper on the kitchen bench there underneath some other papers. And then
finally, these people sent me a message suggesting a value for this item. And I walked up to my wife and I read it to her. And then I said, now watch this. And I walked over to the kitchen bench and I pulled it out. And I wasn't doing it to brag, not for a second, but I pulled that thing out and I had written down that same value. Now, you think, well, that was just a coincidence. Yeah, sure, could have been. But this item was that difficult to value that I could have easily been out by, if I'd have just valued it out of my mind and tried to calculate, comparing it to things, I could have easily been out by 30%. Like, this is an unusual item to value, in my opinion. And the people who are the supposed experts in that field, yeah, I thought they'd have given us a value in an hour or so, but no, and so I was like, and I didn't, like I say, I didn't show that to my wife to brag. It was just like, wow, it's yeah, it made me feel good. There was no specific advantage to me to do that, except I guess it just taught me that I could have relied a little more on myself, because I am working out how to tap into the unseen realm. And that I find exciting, because that's what's interested me for a real long time. And that's what I'm getting more into. And that's what I'm talking about here. And while we're talking about that, 3 years ago this month, I ventured out and took on a 1-year course to become an intuitive life coach. And that's happened. And up until now, though, I've only ever coached one-on-one, mostly on Zoom, the odd in person, and I really do enjoy in person. But what I've just intuitively picked up in the last month or so is I need to start doing group Zoom coaching. And that's something I haven't done before. And if you've been listening for a little while now, you'll notice I've done half a dozen episodes of the Men's Intuition Zoom Roundtable, where I'm basically facilitating the group, but I'm not coaching them for a second. Like, because the men that are on that call, they've all previously been people I've interviewed on this podcast. And there's a huge variety. There's quite a few coaches there of all varying types. We've got a psychologist, authors, got a very senior executive emergency services manager. Had a gentleman who had a near-death experience, and he sees auras and all sorts of things. He's extremely in contact with the other side all the time. Personal trainers, like physical trainers. Got another gentleman who holds a couple of world records in boxing and things like that. So it's a big, wide, very varied group. And I facilitate the discussions on intuition, but I'm not coaching the men for a second. So now I'm just feeling that's where I'm moving to next. And when I first started my coaching, I took on clients because to get through the course, we had to coach. I mean, we got taught all the theory, but then we had to put it all into practice. And we did practice on our Zoom calls with the training. We would get put into pairs and things like that, and we would coach each other for a while, and that was great. But then we had to head out, and the directors of the course said, well, in the beginning, it's the easy way to attract potential clients while you're practicing and learning is to do pro bono or free. So I did that in the beginning, and that worked fine, and I attract clients very quickly. So I've decided, and I've checked intuitively with my guides, and my first men's intuition group coaching is going to be pro bono. And I'm looking at half a dozen, 6 men who want to develop their intuition more. So sorry, ladies, this is a men's group. I believe a lot of men have all of the ability intuitively that women have, but I don't believe in a lot of men it's developed as it should be or could be. So that's who it's for. And ladies intuitive stuff, it's a dime a dozen. They're out there. There's so many ladies who are running classes for women, but there just aren't classes for men. So that I've found anyway. And like when I did my intuitive coaching, there was about 30 of us in the class. I was the only guy. And then a couple of weeks after I finished, another guy enrolled after I'd left. So this is exclusively for men. And we're going to talk about how and why. Particularly, we're going to talk about why. But I mean, I shouldn't have to convince you why if you choose to join in. And if you want to know why, go back and listen to some of my other episodes, particularly where I'm just talking myself. And I'm talking on there all about why men should develop their intuition. So in this group coaching, we're going to learn how to develop. It's going to be a lot of basics, and it's just stuff that I've gone through, plus all the stuff that I've picked up from interviewing. Now, this is episode 112, probably half the episodes, probably say 50 to 60 of the episodes, I've interviewed people, and I have picked up so many tips and tricks from the guests that I've spent 45 minutes to 2 hours with interviewing. And that's the sort of stuff we're going to go through and talk. And you're going to get homework, you're going to go away and learn things and do things. And I think it's a very exciting time. So when's that going to happen? Today is the 24th of March, 2024. It will be probably in a month or so, it'll kick off pretty much towards the end of April. I've got the first 2 weeks of April, actually first 3 weeks of April, I'm extremely busy. So it might even be early May before we get it kicked off completely, but I'm officially announcing it now. So if you're a man and you want to join in, again, planning on running about half a dozen weekly classes. They'll go for an hour or so. And what are we going to do in the classes? A little bit of what we're going to do in the class. I mean, I'm going to teach for a little while, and then we're going to do some discussions. I'm also in some of the classes going to do energy clearing for the group, because years ago I've been to California 3 times and done 3 different workshops over there, learning to clear people's energy. And I can do it at a distance. I don't have to be in the same room with you. And so that's not what the whole thing's going to be about. That'll be a little part of it. So I will, on some of those weeks, spend 15 minutes clearing those who choose to join in. I'll be clearing your energy, and that will help you open up more intuitively. I tell you what, it's certainly helped me. So yeah, that'll be a small part of it. It'll be quite interactive. We'll share experiences. We may break into groups. And like I say, May, and you're thinking, gee, haven't you got all this all exactly worked out? No, I haven't. And guess what? That's why I'm running it pro bono, free, because I don't have all the kinks ironed out. I need some people to practice with, to practice on. And that, you're thinking, oh, well, how good's it going to be? It's going to be good. You are going to learn a lot. I'm going to learn a lot running it. Now, I already know how to facilitate groups of men, because I've had 6 roundtable discussions with men, between 3 and 8 of us in the group. And I know how to facilitate and run that and run the Zoom call and all that. I'm just going to be ironing out the things of exactly how we're going to go and how we're going to flow. And every group class I run will be different anyway. And why will it be different? Because the men that join in will be different every time. They'll have different needs. And intuitively, I and the men in the group will pick up and discuss and have topics that are needed at the time. So yeah, that might sound like we're winging it a little bit, and we will be winging it a bit, because we're going to be relying in part, not wholly, but in part, on our intuition to lead us through. And the discussions will become intuitive. I know I'll finish some of the Zoom calls some weeks and I'll be like, wow, like I had no idea we're going to be discussing that this week. So, and for me, that's exciting, that we're putting into action what it is that we're learning and what we're teaching. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. So if you are a man and you're interested, or if you know a man who might be interested. Now, ladies, if you're listening and you're thinking, oh, my husband or my son or my father or something like that should do this, yeah, maybe. All right. Maybe you could mention it to them and get their reaction. If they're quite interested, yeah, sure, give them the info. Don't push it onto them. Don't nag them. Um, Men need to come to this sort of thing of their own volition, of their own intuition. The universe needs to move and steer them, not their partner, not their daughter, not their niece, or not their wife. All right. So suggest it and leave it to the universe. Men who are listening, who are choosing to thinking like this could be good, this could be quite interesting. Um, I'm not planning on running it for free again. I'm not saying I won't, but I'm definitely not planning on it. This is the one I'm going to be learning. So the advantage to you is you're going to get to do it for free. Not because it has no value. There's a heck of a lot of value in this course, I can tell you. I know when I did my online intuitive training course, man, I learned so much every week. It was just insane, amazing. So yeah, contact me in the show notes. You'll see my contact details there, my email address, etc. Shoot me an email. You can send me a message through Instagram or Facebook if you want. I'm old school. I'm 60 years old now. I've got, you know, yeah, I'm an old, you know, rustic sort of kind of guy. Um, Email's my favored communication method, but yeah, I'm, you know, working on all the new communication things. I've got an online calendar and all sorts of stuff like that, and I do have Instagram and Facebook. But yeah, shoot me an email and we'll lock in some dates and things like that. So I've still yet to do that. But right now, I'm putting together what we're going to be learning, what I'm going to be teaching, the some little exercises that we're going to do each week to help us realize where our intuition's at and help us develop a little bit of homework, things like that. So yeah, so that's an exciting thing for me to be doing. That's the next step instead of just one-on-one coaching. Now, like have groups and yeah, and I think it'll be different. It won't be as personalized, but I think with more of us there in the group, we're all going to learn more. I know I will. I will learn more for sure. I'll learn from you. And so we're going to put this there. We'll be teaching, we'll have homework, and away we're going to go. So that's a very exciting thing for me to be able to bring to you men. So anyone you know who might be interested, apart from yourself, let them know that probably at the end of April, beginning of May this year, 2024. I'm going to be running a 6-week, once a week for about an hour, a group men's intuition coaching, group coaching. So yeah, get the message out there. Let anyone know, any men know who could be interested in this, and we're going to have a good time together. It'll be fun, be interesting, it'll be exciting, and the men will go away from it pumped, charged, and ready to take on the world and ready to develop themselves and improve and enhance their life, make their life more enjoyable, I can tell you. So yeah, that's it for this week. Yeah, and we've got, oh, actually, it's not that for this week. If you've been listening to the men's Zoom groups, the round table, I'm mixing them up as well. I'm planning in the coming weeks with those because you'll notice it's just men. And I've also and all the men that are on there are men I've interviewed in my podcast. You'll also notice that in the past I've interviewed some amazing women, like some really crazy, amazing women. And I'm planning on bringing occasionally some women on as a guest for 1 week to answer some questions. So you've got that to look forward to in the not too distant future. We'll be having the odd woman here and there on, rather than us guys just talking about different topics and subjects and things like that, which I mean, we all find very interesting, and I'm sure you do. But yeah, just to mix it up a little bit, we're going to have some very powerful ladies on, and the men in the group will be asking them different questions about intuition and other things that, their modality, their life, their lifestyle, and their history and things they've done. So yeah, that's up and coming in the not too distant future. All right, until then, love you all. Thank you for joining in and listening, and we'll catch you next time. Bye-bye. Well, we're at the end of another thought-provoking episode. Remember to subscribe so you'll be alerted to new episodes. I want to say thank you to the men who are joining me on this journey of intuitive development. I truly hope our time together has expanded your reality and reinforced trust in your ever-reliable gut feeling. Embrace your intuition. It will not lead you astray. Until next time, stay tuned, stay curious, and trust your gut.